All right, yeah, let's just go live.
All right. Hello.
Are we live right now?
Are we live right now? Guys, it's up to you. Let us know.
I mean, what's going on, Reject
What's
Nation? Welcome to
going
our
on?
Suicide Squad live stream.
Yeah. Woo.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
All you got to do is just let us know if you can hear us, and as long as we're good from there, we can just proceed.
Absolutely.
I know we are 1 minute late. Hello, Cup of Joe.
It's okay. This was the most smooth
Mika
setup
Cochran.
we've had in theory.
It's a good thing you showed up an hour early to do it, John.
It's good. I ran 2 private tests beforehand. It was so good.
I'm so happy for
I
you.
was like, wow, I'm not frantic at all in figuring out the settings today.
Hello, Xanderil. Hey, Olivia. Christopher Larson.
Hey.
We've only been live for a couple of minutes. Josh, Bendy, Lisa, Luther.
Jester.
Really quick. I put out a poll yesterday on our community page.
Ooh.
And
Drum
yeah,
roll.
we haven't been on a live stream in so long.
I know. It's I've forgotten how to do it. It's not like riding a bike.
I've been on like Campia's live streams more often than I have been live on this channel lately. All right, so I put out a poll yesterday. Thank you to everyone who's popping in here, and we got 12,000 votes. I said, in the meantime, tell us what you thought of the movie. Had 4 rankings: loved it, hated it, liked it, didn't like it. John, you want to read them off?
Yes. All right. Let's go. Let's go from the bottom up. 6%, a whopping 6% of people who answered did not like the movie. Then we go up to 21% of people say they liked it. It's pretty good. 3% hated it. The smallest factor, but, a significant one. And the whopping majority, the vast majority, with 71% of people saying they loved it.
Well, it looks like from here, in total, you have a 92% recommendation out of 12,000 votes.
Absolutely. That's a good sign.
That's a good sign.
That's at least a good sign that it's better than the previous movie.
But what's kind of been bumming me out a little bit is that I've been hearing that the box office is not so hot on this film. Unfortunately, maybe because it's on HBO Max right now,
It could be. Thank you, Alessio. These are my Harley Quinn braids for the day.
Awesome. Good to hear. But you guys can hear us, right? All right, cool.
Yeah,
All right, well, let's kick this off. Let's just start talking about it. This will be you guys driving the spoiler talk, obviously, you guys sending in questions and stuff. Whenever we do spoiler reviews, I'm constantly like, did we talk about the thing that we were supposed to talk about? Because I'm always a little bit nervous about that. Then we end up talking for too long. So it's just easier to see what the people really want, the loyal Reject followers. And if you're not loyal, but you just want to talk shit on Suicide Squad, you're here, or whatever. If you just want to be here,
harvest
happy to have you
spoilers
here.
to ruin your friend's time.
So, John, who in this movie was your favorite character? Who would you have to vote?
If I had to pick a favorite character in this movie right now, I've seen it twice now, and I'm oddly torn really heavily. Right now, I'm going to say Ratcatcher 2.
Okay.
With a Bloodsport real close second.
Okay.
Which is funny because earlier it would have been a different answer, but having seen it again and having a different sort of an enhanced emotional experience, I think, even though they're a lot flashier characters, and obviously you got to love like Polka-Dot Man and stuff, like I something about Ratcatcher 2 like really bonded with me. So
I will say Ratcatcher 2, and this is not a structured spoiler talk. We're going to be all over the place, okay? I would say that Ratcatcher 2 is the one who surprised me the most.
Yeah.
I had a feeling, if you watch her trailer reactions, I'd said several times that I have a feeling she's going to be like a hero in this film. You just kind of get that vibe with the way the trailers are marketing her, and those because the trailers are so fast cut, then you pick up on like little lines of dialogue. They would flash to the dialogue between Bloodsport and Ratcatcher on the bus.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have a feeling they're setting up that she's going to be like
surrogate
the
daughter
hero in this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when she has the moment after that scene with Taika Waititi, her dad, and then it cuts to her holding the light and the tears streaming down her face. Both times I've seen it, I start to cry.
Yeah.
It's the only moment that makes me like tear up in the movie, and it's that. And hearing some people kind of criticized the way that flashback's handled. Like, it's a little too cheesy, but I don't know. I like it with the tone. I personally enjoyed it.
And having, again, on second viewing, I thought it played even better. It played even more smoothly into just how the visual language is set up and what the characters are doing and what it's doing for the development of the characters. Yeah, I like that.
I see people in the chat really mentioning Milton.
Milton.
I thought that Milton joke was handled wonderfully.
I thought that was a great bit. And it coming back with like, we had a whole 3-hour conversation about how your name's Milton. Great.
Because that line delivery, I love, because I thought the original bit about Milton dying was so funny.
Yeah.
When you first see Idris Elba's face and you don't really know what he's about to say next.
Yeah.
But him saying like Milton was with us. Yeah. So no one gives a
What was he gonna do? And I loved, like, this time, I think I noticed it the first time, but it hit that much harder, is when they do the rain walk and you see in the furthest back on the far right of the screen, Milton is doing the slow-mo walk too.
Yeah.
Like, he's part of the team. He's like, what's the guy's name in Deadpool 2? It's Rob Delaney's character. With the
Oh
mustache.
God,
Yeah.
what is his name?
Yeah.
Guy who jumps out of the plane with them.
Yeah, he's that
Damn
guy.
it! Yeah, I forgot his name
Yeah,
too.
he's that guy in this movie.
But the joke following it, when after they've won the day,
Yeah.
and then they're like talking about Flag's death, and he's like, "He was my friend. I could be your friend too, Milton."
Yeah.
That joke, you just don't see that joke coming,
Yes.
and it's perfectly
Yes.
planted from
Yeah.
the earlier bit.
And it comes,
Hilarious.
and
Absolutely
it comes
hilarious.
out of the character's personality rather than it just being like, let's shove a joke here. You know?
Yes. Okay, so let's go right here. The Weasel part was funny. Let's talk about the beginning here, because that's something that I think could be. I don't really know what's divisive here about this movie. I know Tyrone Magnus didn't really like it. I know Beyond the Trailer didn't really like it, and I know like Jeremy Johns. I know most people love this movie or really like it a lot. And I'm not here to like specifically take on anyone's opinion, you know. But I do encourage you guys in the chat to leave down your honest thoughts here. And I see all you guys who have submitted to our super chats already, and thank you so much. Yeah, we do have super chats, and we also have the Streamlabs open, and we'll get to those in a second. We just thought we'd earn our way to that discussion first.
Warm you guys up,
you know,
fluff you.
Even though a lot of you guys are probably like, no, get to the chats. Just do it. The beginning, I think the intro is so wonderfully executed. I'm trying to understand the choice of someone's been asking about James Gunn's direction here, and both times I've seen it, every once in a while a director chooses a very specific shot, and you're like, why did they choose that shot? But you know the opening shot when you're on Savant, and then it's like a reflection on the
And it's
ground,
it's like in
and
a
it goes
puddle
like
and
upside
then-
down. Yeah, I don't know the choice of that.
Well, I mean,
What do you interpret that choice as?
I mean, I feel like you're meeting your character through a really dirty lens, which is kind of how everybody sees these characters. And I think what's interesting about centering the introduction, the prologue around Savant is like it does take you from your impression of him, and especially your impression of Michael Rooker, like talk about a unique, like a clever choice of casting, because once you get through the whole process of onboarding, and you see how like nasty everyone's treating him, you're like, yeah, that reflection of him in that puddle and the sort of upside down twist to get here sort of to me was just like a nice tonal way of going like, this is how everybody sees me and this is what the twist of life has done. And then by the end of the prologue, he cracks and freaks out, and like the reality of how like insane this all is, and like the humanity sets back in. And so I feel like it's a contrast of that, and then he dies face down in a puddle.
Damn.
And so it's like there's so many like great little visual things that tie back around and also have some kind of interpretive character element, and that's sort of what I got from that. And even with the bird coming back and eating off his carcass.
Yeah, I think that's a good little short story.
Yeah,
like a short story about Team One.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
you start off with he kills the bird, and then the bird gets to eat off of him, and it's not the same bird, obviously, but a bird just like it.
It's the circle of life.
But I personally, that was really well said, by the way. I thought you actually executed the purpose of the opening shot so well.
Well, that's the thing, though, is like I don't know.
What I would say is the opening of this, I think where some people this is where I think some people might be a little disappointed. And I did talk to some people who I know were let down by it, especially when they see the advertisements for it. They hear Nathan Fillion's in it as TDK. You got Pete Davis. You got some known people in here. Who's the Flora Leborg? Here is Javelin. And I think the opening is great because it immediately sets up the tone that anyone can be offed here. And I thought that's why it works so well to actually off Boomerang right at the very top of the film, because he's a returning character. That's the only one where I was hit with a feeling of a bit of a bummer, because he's one of the few characters I liked from the last Suicide Squad movie. And that is also a great way to show you that, hey, one of the main characters from the last one, even though they're very much on record with this film saying, it's not really a sequel. It's kind of its own thing. It's not really a reboot. Like they keep having these. They won't just define what this is. But I think without saying it, it's still a sequel. Yeah. Just maybe not like all about being a direct part 2 to part 1. But you have the returning characters here, and you have Jai Courtney as Boomerang plucked straight out of the first one. And I think killing him off, because he was one of the main characters here, shows you that anyone can die. And I think that's such a great thing to it. And it also sets up the ruthlessness of Amanda Waller, because you were just talking about with Savant Michael Rooker running away, fleeing cowardly into them. I won't even say cowardly. I think his emotions were well justified. He panicked. So my point with that is that when he runs out into the water, and it's like there's nothing he can do. He clearly can't win this fight, and then Amanda Waller still blows his head. Like, what's he gonna do? Swim out of there? Like, what can he do? Possibly
single-handedly swashbuckle across the beach?
But then showing that like there's limited chance for survival for these guys. This is gonna be a really hard mission. They can't, and anyone could die here. And if you choose not to go through with it, you will die. So I thought what this movie really succeeded at was creating that tension throughout, because granted, a lot of our main characters are not dying throughout most of this movie, but by the end you get a few more deaths. And so you do get hit with that feeling of, man, Bloodsport could die. The only one I didn't, if I'm gonna be totally honest, the only one who I never thought for a second would die is Harley Quinn. Like I never thought Harley Quinn would die, but I thought everyone else had a chance of dying here. And I think that's such a difficult thing to do for a comic book movie, and they pulled that off really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they don't undersell the consequences. And it's like this time, it's like even when Amanda Waller is about to actually blow the bombs, then people have to step in. It's like they really thought about how these situations would play out, and they also scaled the scope of the team to the situation at hand. And so it does feel like the stakes are super tangible, and the film just does a good job of putting you at times in their shoes and showing how intense the mayhem is. So like, it feels dangerous, and it feels convincingly like anybody could go. And I think that's also too, that's very conscious use of casting again. But even so, like, as brief as the prologue is, and I can get why anybody would be like, I want to see more of these characters. It is striking. It leaves a big impression, and it doesn't. It's a prologue tonally that kind of does what the rest of the movie will do in a much more drawn out sense. Because like, most people don't make it through this movie,
All right, so I'm seeing. I previewed the super chats here really quick, and I hate that feeling when we start talking about something when someone has contributed some money our way. So let's go over some of the super chats here really fast. So John, can you pull it up for us, buddy?
Yep.
Do your thing.
Alrighty. Sebastian
was probably my favorite. Who's your guys' favorite in the comments in the live stream? Tell us who your favorite was here. I thought I'll say this. Sebastian was the one character where the whole time I'm like, please don't do that animal death thing. Please don't do that.
Please
not him. Please not him.
Yes.
And they kill off so many birds in this film that I was like, there's a good chance this rat could die.
Don't get attached to anyone living, human being or animal or otherwise.
Miles Dorsey, thank you so much, dude. Can you guys see it?
Yeah, okay. So Miles Dorsey right here at the bottom.
All right. The rescue flag scene was my favorite. The rescue flags. Oh,
where they go to.
Where they mess up.
Where they just decimate the freedom fighters.
I love that shot when Peacemaker just walks past that one guy laying down and
Yeah, it's like so clinical, and the sound effects totally help sell that too.
I think that's a great scene for Peacemaker because John Cena, like what I talked about in my non-spoiler talk, is that this was the first time I ever really bought John Cena as when he had his more dramatic moments in the finale of this movie, I really believed him. Yeah. And that never happens to me for John Cena. I even rewatched the end of F9 the other day and I was like, man, that scene. Anyway, well, if you haven't seen F9, I won't ruin it. But anywho, yeah, but that scene showcases you for the first time like, oh, this Peacemaker's not a joke. He's a real badass. Mm-hmm. He's really up there.
And he's really committed as much as he says he is.
And he's really good at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it does kind of set you up that Bloodsport will be the ultimate badass and Peacemaker might be a bit of a joke. Mm-hmm. And then in that scene, you do see that, oh, no, there is an equivalency to the two of them in terms of skill set.
Yeah. And I mean, it's an interesting scene because I feel like this scene is a good example of something that I appreciate about the movie is that it's a choice of a sequence and it's a choice of a story beat. And I get why this scene is so divisive again because of kind of like one of the few gripes I have is sort of like ultimately the freedom fighter story overall doesn't feel as plugged in and fleshed out to the movie. Yeah, and the way Alice Braga at the end is like, because of those people, we were able to have democracy. I'm like, you guys stormed the government too, like Anyway.
And then when they showed up and they stormed the government, I didn't care. I think what you're getting at is how they don't. It's a really funny reveal and it's a really funny joke. But there doesn't seem to be much repercussion from what they did.
Yeah, and because they're taking a situation for the story that is a very real world kind of situation, like there are tons of dictatorships and coups around the world. I feel like it is a choice again to make that really dark joke of like, oh man, we thought we were rescuing you.
Yeah.
So it's one I appreciate because of how divisive it has the potential to be, because it is a distinct and confident choice, and you are just kind of free to agree or not.
Yeah.
But I thought, especially that was very funny in a very, very dark way.
Smooth King 2000. Thank you, buddy. You guys rock and the movie rocks.
Aww.
I was really glad to get my video out. One of the first.
I bet.
And then I was also met with that. Anytime I put an opinion out there, I'm also met with the worry of what if I'm like in the minority?
Yeah,
because I haven't heard anybody else.
That's the scary part of seeing a movie with no reviews out.
Like, you got to be honest. It's like when we did Black Widow. I was like, got to be honest, but we'll see.
Yeah.
John, you want to read this one?
Yeah, Josh Wren.
Thanks,
thank
Josh.
you so much. I loved the film so much. I really felt that Peacemaker's change of character was great. How did you feel? Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that is, again, you do get attached to these characters, even though Peacemaker is not the most lovable of them. But even, over the course of the film, you see him even start to bond with Ratcatcher a little bit. And yeah, it's a great example of Amanda Waller's ruthlessness and the ruthlessness of shadowy operations like this in general is, he's, again, just dedicated to ultimately this one specific version of a liberty ideology, and it's very sinister when he's like, I will do anything to make sure that this information doesn't get out. And then it brings out the like true moral quandary of the movie. And so I thought as a character choice, he sold it really well, and also it made the movie that much stronger because then it becomes about something, it adds another element again, so I can understand if you maybe are overwhelmed at that point. But for me, it was like, oh, damn, there's more to every piece of the plan and puzzle than met the eye,
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that with that Peacemaker turn, I personally was bummed out by it. Some people might not be surprised by the turn. I love that it's committed to the character. I love how the scene became about a battle of philosophy between Rick Flag and Peacemaker in that moment. And to be perfectly frank, it's like, as much as I view Rick Flag more as the good guy than Peacemaker overall, even prior to that scene, like you brought up him bonding with Ratcatcher, that moment at the bar, like I think that bar moment, the first time I watched that scene, the very first time, I thought, is this really necessary to be in this movie? I feel like it might be messing with the pace. But then as the movie progressed, I realized that scene is so important to making you care.
Yeah.
Because you do get the sense of camaraderie with them becoming a team. Mm-hmm. That scene in the bar in the first Suicide Squad movie, which maybe in the Ayer cut, there is more of like richness to that, but like I feel like that bar scene there in the first Suicide Squad movie, they did it properly here. And yeah, this Peacemaker saying get a drink for the rat, I thought makes you go, oh, this guy has a heart. This guy's good. Yeah. And I actually personally don't think Peacemaker was a bad guy necessarily. I don't agree with him. And what he did was bad.
It's that thing of
I get his argument.
Align for now, and when our goals no longer align, then we have no consideration for each other any longer.
Well, you know that thing when people say, like he's a good villain because I understand his motives and I understand it, like he thinks of himself as the good guy. If you are to view him as a villain, then I think he is one of the better arguments for that philosophy of you actually told no, that's his character. Of course. Of course he's going to do this. He really thinks he's doing something good right now. He thinks he's doing the right thing. And then the scene between John Cena and Rick Flag, I didn't want any one of them to die. So it was like, oh, that was tough to watch. And you do kind of suspect that Flag's probably going to be the one to take the hit, which was a bummer. I really cared about him.
That was my most heartbreaking death, I think.
Absolutely.
Gene.
No, Gene. It's our Wolverine impression. Gene. Yeah, no, the Rick Flag death was that was the one where I'm like, fuck, I didn't hate him, but I'm like
this
but
guy
I didn't
so
care about him
much.
at all in the first one, and I like him so much now.
So
what a
much.
bummer, and he was really trying to do the good thing.
Well, and it's moments like that also when he shares that one little glance with Harley, why I'm like, I think this is at least in the same world as the last movie. As much as they've tried to distance it, like they honor that and sell it.
Gene Jeter, August 7th, my favorite day every year, and probably will stay that way. Have a good live spoiler soon. Oh, well, thank you for the support, buddy.
Oh, buddy.
Marina, John, read this in your best Australian accent.
Love from Sydney, Australia. That's a great old Aussie accent there.
Thank
for you.
So much, Marina. And Nash Sanadiki, one of our patrons.
What'd it do?
Thank you. Who is Amanda going to kill in the third movie? Shit.
Anybody left.
It would be cool if they managed to take those survived from the first Suicide Squad movie and then one's here and then mash them.
And then make it the redemption for everybody.
Just this ultimate Suicide Squad.
Yeah, dude. Oh, and then any other, get any other, good DCEU villain performances that haven't been included yet.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I mean, it does make me wonder, because this movie does feel like a sequel in the way, like an anthology story is a sequel, if you have some of the same characters. So I feel like you could do a lot without having to directly branch out of this movie the next time around.
Well, I feel like I'm surprised that she didn't execute any of her actual
her staff,
like the one that hit her over the head.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by that.
All right, let's put this away for now. What a joke was a great line. What'd you think about King Shark, Johnny?
Oh, I really enjoyed King Shark, and especially, getting to enjoy, I think the poetic, sort of beats with him played a little more smoothly to me the second time around, and I was really able to kind of really follow the tone, and I appreciated the opportunity he took with that character, because, there's funny dialogue because of how sort of monosyllabic he is, but you also get these great little just emotional moments of, when they're cruising through the city, and he's sort of watching just regular human life, or when he's sitting in the truck and he's really bummed, or he's having the moment, he's learning about friendship throughout the movie. I ultimately really appreciated him, and also the way they handled his sort of somewhat invincibility, because it's interesting to note the limitations he has, being kind of a big lumbering character while also having the obvious advantage of the shark teeth and everything, but I thought they scaled him well as well and made him an actual part of the team that felt essential while still oddball.
Hey, we got Cosmic Wonder in the chat. What's going on, buddy?
Cosmic
showing his love for DC today.
Warren.
And yes, I mean, we did see the post-credit scene at the very end showcasing Peacemaker, that he's still alive, which
he somehow survived that.
Which I was like, when he died in the movie, or at least when you think he's dead, I was going, oh, so the Peacemaker show must be a prequel.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Because I didn't think he would get killed at all. I didn't suspect that whatsoever.
Yeah.
Which is the main reason why I was like, Flag is probably going to die because there's a Peacemaker show coming up. But then, yeah, for them to live at the end, I was kind of surprised by how Amanda Waller let those staff members live.
Yeah, they're still like actively on her payroll, and this is just like a shitty assignment for them. But also, it seems like a very important assignment for them because it's like saving the fucking world. So, yeah, I think it's probably. I would imagine that these characters were probably culled because of their own moral dubiousness in other regards. So maybe there's something, that we don't know about how their relationship works. But in terms of what the movie gives you, it is quite surprising that any of that staff is still around. And it's just maybe at this point they just know way too much or something.
For the past 2 days, I've just been saying num num around the house.
Num num.
I can't stop saying
That's
that.
not num num.
I love that scene when King Shark is off on his own at the Jotunheim Castle or whatever, and then he sees that aquarium of fish and is bonding with them. And to me, that's such a great tone poem moment, such a great visual illustration of this guy really is just wants friends. He's really just lonely
and needs to learn about fun.
Yeah, I love that. I thought they struck a great balance with him in terms of being like, he's kind of like, if you're going to compare Guardians of the Galaxy to this, he is kind of like the Groot of the group. And he is sort of like just the more vicious, violent version of him. But I thought they did such an amazing job at really having you find him really sweet and endeared to him. And then thinking he's so awesome when he's shredding people too.
Yeah. He has one of the best gore gags in the entire movie. And I was. It's when you're like totally expecting a head chomp, and he just rips that guy in half, like so satisfying.
Are you excited for the Peacemaker series?
I'm curious about it. It's funny. I feel like it will. I mean, if James Gunn has been involved with it heavily, then it'll have a similar sort of a sensibility to this. But I'm curious to see if it's just centered around him and he's the main sort of meta-powered person, what that would play like. Because I think part of the charm of a character like that, especially in a movie like this, is that it is an ensemble and he isn't the lion's share of screen time. So it'll depend on how much more his acting credibility can sell being the centerpiece of an entire, show. But generally speaking, it's got me optimistic for it and happy to see that character return. And it makes me, it sounds like a fun challenge to be like, okay, I'm going to have to root for this guy next time. And stranger things have happened. So yeah, show me that.
I also was kind of taken aback by how much I've sympathized for Starro.
That's they gave, even Starro has a point of view and has an understandable, motivation by the end of it,
Yeah.
Like, I was happy among the stars, and then you guys kidnapped me, so you know what? I'm going to take this city.
I mean, hey, Turjo student, we are reading live comments. That's what's determining all these questions and everything I've been bringing up and changing the subject around. Usually there's
such a good MC.
There's stacks of people saying similar things, so I'm just kind of gathering bits and pieces of information little by little and then driving the conversation from there. So yeah, I am going off of the live stream chat. It just can look like favorites, if I'm shouting out one person who mentioned this, but then there's also 5 other people.
While you speak the actual questions, I'll just read every name I can see.
I mean, with Starro, it wasn't Starro's fault for being in that position at all. And it's like this being was, yes.
I just said no.
Oh, I think said no. I said well. No. I think Starro was this character who I don't think Starro like it was fucked up what Starro was doing at the end, but you're like, but they've been torturing this guy for like how long now? Like several decades at this point. And Starro's just doing what Starro does. They just captured him, and they were even captured him, the astronauts, and like showing him as kind of like a little prize that they got.
Yeah. And
then all they do is do that. But obviously murdering all those innocent people. I thought that was a detail to this monster, this kaiju-like character that I just wasn't anticipating at all with this film. And that's what I mean by adding another layer to it. I think what James Gunn did really well here, with people asking about the direction, is that a lot of maybe there's not a heavy amount of scenes that are just like all about the drama and the nuance there, but I think that's really well spread out throughout this whole thing. It's like you introduce the joke on like a funny manner with Bloodsport, and he's scared of rats. Like, and it's kind of just like a silly thing. And by the way, I think Idris Elba very like deserves to be more appreciated for his work here.
Absolutely.
Brilliant in this film, hilarious. And I love how he just keeps getting like injured.
Yeah.
And he has like that Indiana Jones quality to me where he's not just like that's a big one sec. We got it. That's like a big difference, I think, between watching Deadshot and Bloodsport, because obviously people will compare the two of them for the type of assassins they are. They're both black leading characters, and they both have a situation with wanting to take care of their daughter, right? I still think the portrayals of them are entirely different portrayals, and they have very different personalities, and I much rather prefer the interpretation that we got of Bloodsport over the Deadshot, because like Bloodsport is just constantly bitching and complaining, and it's always like, fuck, every second of the movie, and just having a rough time, and he keeps getting hurt. And so I root for the guy, because when he's having those fight scenes, it's not pretty. It looks like he sometimes is having a struggle. I love like the struggle in a fight. When he has that shot when he goes up to Starro, loading the gun, all these, and then they all start running away before he's done shooting.
Yeah.
It just and then when the people who are like a zombie horde of Starro characters coming after him, and he's going through all his different weapons, it's a tough battle. It's a fight.
And when he's out, you feel that exasperation.
Yes, exactly. But you can also feel feeling that exasperation from him, feeling the lethargic nature of him coming on. But you also know that there's a softie inside of this guy. Like, he's scared of the rats. He really cares about Ratcatcher 2. By the way, the moment with Ratcatcher 2, when she's doing the light thing, and then she puts her arm over him. Oh, what a beautiful moment.
Yes.
Guarding, protecting him. Hey, Paul, heavy spoilers in the chat. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up,
Great
dude?
to have you here. For the moment you will be here. I know how you other YouTubers are. You pop in here for like a minute. Hey,
Just to steal all
the
of our
show.
audience over to your video.
But guys, go subscribe to Heavy Spoilers. He's got a wonderful ending explained and a wonderful post-credit scene breakdown and such.
No, that's the thing.
well.
That's the thing I think about the Deadshot and Bloodsport argument, is they solve it with that whole thing about like his backstory with Peacemaker is the same as mine. It's like you could imagine Deadshot's backstory is like his father trained him since he was a kid to be like the most ruthless assassin. Anything in his hands is a weapon.
It is one of those questions, though, of they say he shot Superman, put him in the ICU. Is Superman still in the ICU, and that's why he doesn't show up at the Starro situation?
Maybe he just did that like a month ago, and they've just been asking all month.
They established that as much as this Suicide Squad is its own thing, Superman's still around here.
Yeah, and I think he would have been able to get there in the amount of time that unfolded on screen, at least.
I know there's been some controversy regarding the Harley Quinn portrayal, which we will get to in a second, but let's kick it off right here with we got a few more super chats that came in. Brandon Hobbs, you guys are saving me from my depression. I love you. Keep being friends. We're trying. We're hanging on little
doing
by
our
little.
best. Each week by week.
No matter what happens, we try. For the sake of public display.
Some weeks are up, some weeks are down, but they're always us.
Smooth King 2000. Also, I was shocked that they killed Captain Boomerang and Rick Flag, two original members from the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you pay close enough to the trailers, it was pretty obvious Boomerang was going to die.
Yeah, he's only in this like couple shots.
And you know what? Even though he's in it less, like I love Jai Courtney's portrayal of him in the first one. I didn't love him, but I liked him a lot. He at least got to do some cool shit this time around versus the last. He didn't do anything in the last movie.
Yeah,
he's in it way more, and he gets to have more lines and stuff because of the time he's in it. But he's gonna do anything cool in that movie.
Yeah.
At least here, he gets to actually use his boomerang and slice some guys up,
Yeah, exactly. He actually gets to be a badass, and I loved his little feature in the main credits with just the arms sticking up out of the sand. And I feel like that's another great way of he's such a fun and confident character. So reintroducing us, to a new team with a couple familiar characters. It's like returning to school after a summer, and it's like, oh, I only know you two, so like I'm kind of gravitated towards you guys. Like he's a perfect character for that.
And it also sets you up for that feeling of loss with the guy.
Yeah.
Matteo Diavino. Sounds like a super Italian man over here.
Diavino.
I love the movie, and a highlight for me is King Shark. I hope we get more appearances from him in the future, but my biggest complaint is that he never said, King Shark is a shark. I wish he did say that. That is one of his main quotes. I'm surprised he didn't.
Bummer. It's in a deleted scene somewhere.
I do. I really love the handling of him when he's about to eat Ratcatcher. I'm surprised he didn't just immediately chomp, considering everything else we've seen in the movie where he's about to eat Ratcatcher.
Very, very quiet about it.
And the first guy you see him swallow, you just see him in the background. It's just like this little subtle, cute
like
little
waddling
move.
over like a child.
Amazing. Sylvester Stallone, good for you. Wasn't the guy who is the one who's like, that's a kaiju, and the one who keeps standing up against Amanda Waller or wondering, like, would he really kill Bloodsport's kid? I think he's the one who actually did the mocap for King Shark in the movie.
Comedian Steve Agee, who I think is he's another James Gunn sort of regular, I think.
Let's. I hope it would be cool to see King Shark and Killer Croc meet each other.
Yeah. Did Killer Croc make it through the last movie? It could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be great.
I don't know if it did in the air.
He was so good. Bring him back. Redemption.
Let's see here. Let's see here. I'm looking at the chat. The saddest death with either Polka-Dot Man or Rick Flag. I think Rick Flag had the more tragic death.
Yeah.
In the story itself, I think overall he probably got to lead a better life.
Yeah.
Taj Jinko is asking that question. However, Polka-Dot Man, I obviously had the more tragic life overall, but he gets to have an arc there, and I think that's what I mean. It's like there are these nuances here that are not sometimes so in your face.
Yeah.
But he goes from a guy who, that. The way they introduce their character journeys can be so funny because, like I said, with Idris Elba, with Ratcatcher, with the rat, how they make that funny, and then by the end, he's like overcoming the fear, petting his rat, and because so much of his trauma is based off when he was tortured with rats, and he's overcoming it in that moment. You know, part of that trauma is probably why he ended up down the life he did, right? So I think that's a really cool little journey to put him on. And then with Polka-Dot Man, like that first one of his early lines of like, it's easier if I can just imagine they're my mom. Like it's just an unexpected line. It just sounds like a joke.
Yeah.
And then you find out, oh, this is his backstory here.
Yeah.
This is a real thing that we're going to deal with. And I love that James Gunn committed to the visual illustration of hopping into his perspective of showing, no, he really sees everyone as his mom. And even when Bloodsport's like, you see that? That's your mom. And then it's like it's giant mom. But the guy is so depressed and feels so much shame about himself. And in the end of it, when he's like, I'm a superhero, he finally got to feel love for himself and proud of himself when the whole time he's feeling shame towards himself. And so I think that he at least gets to die in his life on a high note.
At the zenith of
exactly. And as predictable as it was when he said I'm a superhero, I was like, oh, he's gonna die. Like the second he said it, I'm like, oh shit, he's gonna die right now.
Yeah.
And then they do the profile shot where he turns to Bloodsport.
Angle.
You're like, oh, that's death shot right there.
Yeah.
That's the shot
that's
of
a
death.
crush from above.
Yeah, you know that's the shot where he's gonna die.
What's gonna fall on him? Debris or a star lake?
But I think in the movie itself, it's like Rick Flag died when he was trying to do just the right thing.
He has the moral death. The moral death versus like the emotional death, you know, and that's why they both stand out so much. For Polka-Dot Man, for Abner, you're just so overjoyed with him just for like finally you feel a moment of peace and confidence. Whereas Rick Flag is like you just made the hero choice and you're gonna pay the worst price for trying to be the best person on this team.
We see like you got T in the chat who's saying Pokemon's death is an example of what I don't like about Gunn's directing style, sacrificing power moments for a jump gag. So I didn't get that impression though. I felt everything we just said.
Yeah. It felt within the spirit of the movie, and I mean, it's like
exactly.
I feel like it could have gone either way, but like I don't know. I do understand that because there's a gag there, they're that might offset the emotional resonance of any part of that for you. But yeah, I don't feel like it cheapened it for me.
See, Tyler in the chat is saying, like, I literally didn't see Polka-Dot Man's death coming, and there were other, like, Olivia didn't see it coming. I was sitting next to her, and then she, like, jumped at it, and I was, like, so surprised by that. But Weasel's death at the beginning.
I loved that. Well, and even those little details of, like, you didn't check to make sure he could swim. You didn't check to make sure Bloodsport had a phobia of something. And that whole thing about, like, why would I disclose my vulnerabilities?
See, I feel like James Gunn created this cool tone and world within the DC universe already. Mm-hmm. Like, just Task Force X, the employees placing bets on who's gonna die now. Like, this never goes well. Who's gonna die next? And showing that the Suicide Squad, clearly this is a thing they keep trying, and it's just not working.
Because you have a bunch of people, it's that thing of, like, you have a bunch of big personalities with big powers, all of whom, probably have some kind of megalomania complex. And so, like, those aren't the people best suited for team and tactics. So, like, this is always going to go pear-shaped in some way, shape, or form. And yeah, I feel like that's part of the sort of wry charm of the world.
I left right when the movie ended, and then I came back for the Peacemaker post-credit scene. Was there any scene after that?
No, can't think of anything.
Too bad.
Weasel dead the whole time.
Weasel's permanently dead.
Yeah, he's just permanently dead. In fact, they did a Marvel at the end. That's what I saw. Is they had a title card that said Weasel will not return because he's dead.
Yeah, Weasel's the bomb. All right, so
such a and that's the other thing is, like,
it's gonna wreak havoc in that city, man.
Yeah, and it's such a gross, off-putting design, and I feel like, in another movie it might not have been able to be that way, and that's another sort of, like, James Gunn sort of trauma thing is, like, Weasel does look disgusting.
I do want to touch on Thinker, Peter Capaldi, in a second. We got a few more super chats here that I do not want to ignore because thank you guys for supporting us here.
Super.
Really means a lot. Thank you. Let's see here. Where are we at? Okay.
Diavino 1.
Right here. Another one. Thank you, Matteo Diavino. Don't know if you saw my super chat, but are you as disappointed as I am that King Shark never said King Shark is a shark? I don't know if I'm as disappointed as you, but I did want him to say that. That's for sure. I did at least want to hear him say it once. Childlike being. It's a lot of people seem really bummed by the fact that, like, this is a big takeaway for them. That Rick Flag and Boomerang died.
Yeah.
Like, I felt it when Boomerang died and Rick Flag. But it seems to be, like, the most reoccurring comment so far since we've been live, which is fascinating. Childlike being. They just murdered my boy Rick Flag and Captain Boomerang, but I thought it would have been cool to see, like, a cameo from one or two of the jail crew to help the Suicide Squad with Starro. I think that would have undercut it a little bit. I mean, it would have been cool, yes, but not as strong, I would say, in terms of the story they're telling. Because one thing I really liked about the ending of the mission, because they complete the mission. And not at one point, this is what I mean by James Gunn's subtlety with nuances from time to time that you don't realize he's building to. Like, I did not think he was building to them doing anything heroic the entire movie. Yeah. I really didn't think that. Other than Amanda Waller says, you have leadership potential or something like that, Bloodsport at the top. But we don't spend the whole movie going, you're going to be a leader. You're going to be a leader. We don't keep pointing that out. And so in the end of it, they complete their mission. They do their job. They don't have to deal with Starro. They don't have to do any of that. None of that is a requirement on their end. But they all choose to do the right thing and help out when they realize they're probably the only ones here who can.
Yeah, and it needs to happen now.
So that's why I think it's better that the jail doesn't show up or whatever like that. But I think in terms of, like, really showing that, no, they did grow as characters because this is not a necessity.
Yeah.
And they were willing to have their heads exploded for that.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know how they would get out of that. when Amanda Waller was like, you motherfuckers, and then bam. I'm like, what, how are they going to, is she going to start blowing one of their heads off? Like, how did they get out of this?
Yeah, exactly.
And then I actually didn't didn't anticipate that one of them would knock her out.
Yeah.
But they're building that up too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're building up Task Force X going against not Task Force X. Is that what you call them? You would call them the people who work with Amanda Waller.
Yeah, what's her bureau called?
I'm forgetting the name of the bureau offhand. Anyway,
the Office of Suicide Squad Affairs.
They're building that up that they would do that, yet you don't see it coming in that moment.
Yeah, no, it's a perfect because you wouldn't.
And now Jabby Koei here.
Hey, everyone's stopping by.
YouTubers to stop by
so
far.
Multiverse crossover event of the summer.
Yeah,
and that's that's another great, I think, turn, and that's something that again just sort of keeps on playing on that theme of the choice of like what lengths are you willing to go to, and at what point do you not see the sort of mutual destruction in action, And so, I really like that turn for her staff.
I completely agree with you, John. All right.
Jabby raids.
Jabby
Everyone's
raid.
just calling Jabby raid.
Brandon Steele, love you guys and love the movie. Thank you. Braden Steele. Thank you, Braden. Really appreciate that, buddy.
Braden. Kiefer.
All right. Hey, we're going to talk about Harley now.
Oh, hey. Kiefer Grundman Brady. I feel like we were all reminded of
Late
how...
to the parties here. Sorry, John.
Hey, the more the merrier, man. I'm happy to see everybody. I feel like we were all reminded of how much a nutcase Harley is, LOL. Her fight scene after being tortured was incredible. Yeah. I really enjoyed that fight in particular because of all the visual flourishes and the really cool like sideways tracking shot and the acrobatics and stuff. But also I really appreciated the javelin storyline.
I think this Harley. Some people have been very back and forth on the Harley take. I've seen it on social media. I haven't really dived too deep into. There are people who don't like the way she was written in this film, especially with the whole like I'm a princess. And when she's looking at herself after being kidnapped and then swooning over the guy. And to me, it didn't bother me because I was like, yeah, I think Harley has grown. And she does shoot the guy in the end,
Yeah.
And yeah, she was going down the path of being manipulated and all that. And as larger than life as this is, as fantastical as the world of DC is, and this movie is definitely an inclusion in that. I also think it's perfectly human for someone who has been working on something to keep going back to the same mistake and then catching themselves midway through it.
That's how I ultimately read it, and I'm gonna wait to hear some more opinions on it. But the way I took it is that the joke comes around finally of like I promised myself that if I saw any red flags, and I feel like every step of the way from being pulled out of the hole to that moment is just a million red flags, and it goes to show she's like newly emancipated from this horrific relationship with the Joker that altered her life, her psychological state, her physical ability, and everything else. That it seemed like this guy doesn't seem half as abusive as the Joker, and so like having that history, I could see how several red flags might be missed, and a character who in the commentary is like heavily used to abuse and manipulation from a significant other. It played as that as sort of like this is a sign of growth, and ideally she would have caught the red flag immediately, but it's also a selfless turn when she's like, I've been through a lot, but little kids, like you can't kill little kids.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like Harley's not he's not a hero. She's not. Harley's not a hero. She's like literally she draws the line at kids.
Yeah.
Everything else she was fine with.
Yeah. It's like take people off to your murder castle, whatever. But the children.
And she could have the money, the power, have love,
birdies.
And the birdies, everything. But the kids.
Yeah.
And I love the speech that she gives. That to me is this interesting way of showing her arc from the first Suicide Squad movie, including Birds of Prey, and then here of she was still able to catch herself and go, no, I can't, But I love the sadistic nature of how she just had sex with this guy and then killed him. I love the sadistic nature of it.
Absolutely.
And I thought the fight scene was incredible. What I I love the scene where she's getting tortured. It's pretty brutal. I don't love it. I'm like, yeah, fuck her up. I'm not like that about it. But it makes you think of kind of like an 80s action movie, like Lethal Weapon or something, when Mel's tied up and like how she's getting beat up. And you really buy into like, oh man, she's screwed right here. She's really messed up. And what I thought, I didn't quite notice it until I didn't notice what was different about her fight scene here, other than like choreography and all that. That really stood out to me versus take the police station scene in Birds of Prey. Was here in this fight, she might have her like little devilish smiles from time to time, but for the most part, in that fight, she's really quiet. She's like an action hero in that fight, like an action fighter here with a slight little twinkle in her eye, you know? Like, so she's still enjoying it. But I thought that's what made her even cooler, was kind of like the silent lethal killer, and how it's not until the very end of the fight where she's letting it all out and then screaming that famous, the popular shot of the wheel with the guns and the flowers and the birds, like she's coming to life here. And then when she's outside, I love the touch of how when she's looking for a cab, if you pay attention to the background, the birds are still going off inside in the back. Like you have to look for it, but you can still see all the birds and stuff in the background. But she's still pretty quiet the whole time. And I thought, compared to the other movies, I thought there was so much more going on underneath the surface for Margot Robbie here, versus just her having to say it or do comedy. You know, like I thought it was cool that you got to have some quiet time with her.
Visceral time.
Quiet time. I don't know if it was quiet, but you know, moments where she's not just making jokes or blabbing the whole time. You know.
Yeah, where you just, I mean, it's just yells if anything.
Yeah.
And AJ Sumano in the chat's pointing out that Margot Robbie did the escape herself, and James Gunn says he wished he shot it better so as to see her face. I was wondering about that because it looked really convincing in camera.
Like with the keys?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if like,
she got it in one take.
No, I mean, there's an insert on the key going into the lock, but I'm saying I would believe that she did like the acrobatic, like, you know, flip upward and all that core strength and, you know, contortion or whatever. I really enjoyed that, and some, I know there's been some back and forth too on just how that plot line factors in with the Suicide Squad of like, this feels like a side quest, and like, you know, by the time they get there to rescue her, she's already rescued herself. But that to me was another example of something that added into. Like, this movie to me really feels like when you read a graphic novel and, you know, you can tell, you know, you have separate issues mixed in together. It added to that for me, but it also, I think, added to the overall sense of, like, this is like you know, I flashed back to Guardians of the Galaxy because you see the team, and then Peter Serafinowicz is like, they're a bunch of assholes. And, you know, it's like, it's a similar vibe here, but not undercutting them so much that they, you know, aren't an effective team when it needs to be. It's like, it shows something about like their you know, approach in how it sort of goes sideways and they don't even really need to be there, but also they're still really capable and they had a good plan, you know. So it speaks to their like weird mismatched disorganization, but also without undercutting their just effective qualities.
Let's talk about the Thinker really quick. Okay, so with the Thinker, Peter Capaldi, I think Peter Capaldi did an excellent job in the role. I did. And I actually really did enjoy watching him there. I really did enjoy watching him. And I actually didn't have this criticism until the second time I watched the movie. Is that, like, I think, I personally think Peter Capaldi does an excellent job. And in terms of what the character, what is the Thinker's actual name? I can't.
Gaius Greaves.
Gaius Greaves. Okay. So I think in portraying Gaius Greaves, he's excellent. I think in portraying the Thinker, he's not really utilized. Like you said, and it's like, okay, the Thinker, this really big comic book villain, has this genius level capability. He was one of the main villains. Like he had one, I think it was season 4 of The Flash, where he was the primary villain. And the way they wrote him in there, I was there as an audience member going, how the hell? Like as the season progressed, I'm like, how do you beat this guy? It's impossible. There's no way you can beat him. You know, like I would watch the Thinker there doing that. And then here, there's not much Thinker going on here. They said, and it's like, okay, someone might say, well, you're just saying that because of the comic material or watching The Flash or whatever. I'm like, okay, let's remove that. the movie sets you up for that. The movie, when they introduce him, says, "What's with all the?" He's got all these bolts in his head, and they're saying, like, what does that do? It makes you really smart. Yeah, it makes me smart. And as much as like he's the main scientist experimenting on Starro, you don't really get to explore the genius side of him, or really get to get a like what's with all the bolts? Like what makes him super genius?
Who is this guy really, and what is the breadth of his ability?
Not that we know all his power, not that we like need to know everything about him. Just you got to do with a bunch of bolts in his head. And you're setting him up for that. And I wish there was just like a couple of scenes or some exchange of dialogue or whatever that at least allows you to really see that. I thought we were going to see that when he got captured, like when they're running out of there and he's saying like I'm working, like when he's admiring Ratcatcher's ability, is like I've been working on something like that myself. They have the rats up your asshole joke and stuff like that. So I thought in that scene we're going to start hearing some of it, but we never really got that. You know what I'm getting at. Yeah.
We never got to see that character fully realized, and it is a situation, with Starro in scope that is pretty big and could have maybe opened the door for a broader. He does play sort of as just mad scientist.
Yeah.
Gaius Greaves, mad scientist.
Yes, exactly.
I absolutely I don't have as much experience with that character intimately, so I wasn't as bothered by it. But also, looking back on it now, I'm like, it would have been cool to see more from him and see a more special character, because he just kind of looks cool and is a great performance.
But in terms of playing evil scientists, he was great.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it was a great performance. Yeah.
I don't think it was really like a great version of the Thinker, but in terms of evil scientist, it was great. Really effectively utilized there.
And quickly, happy birthday, Gene
Jeter. Happy birthday to you. Let's see here. Hey, Laceland Wood 96. You just got out of the theater. What'd you think about the movie?
Hey. Oh, and Raghu Sitharaman. I noticed that the second in the credits that D. Bradley Baker was Sebastian the Rat.
D. Bradley Baker is like the #1 voice actor, isn't he?
He is. He's got his whole own show.
He's in everything. He's got a whole show where he's every character.
He's got every other show and his own show where he's also all the voices.
Really do appreciate everyone who's contributed here to the super chats too. We also have Streamlabs open as well.
There's a pinned chat comment if you are interested there, or in the description box.
But it's been fun talking about. There's still more to unpack, I believe.
Absolute vodka.
Cam K. Wait, no. I'm wrong. Oh, there's a few more. Okay, my bad. I messed up here.
Okay, we did Kiefer last time. I think it's Mike T.
Yes, Mike T. Can you see that? Yeah. Mike T. 54. Thank you, buddy. If there is a third Suicide Squad, I hope they can get Deadshot back. I feel like he was a standout of the last film and deserves another go. I was shocked at Boomerang and Flag's death and see, again, another comment about it. This is the most reoccurring thing here. I think it would kind of be fun to see a Will Smith and Idris Elba.
That would be awesome for casting and just for the back and forth of the characters.
I'd just watch a movie start. Just have to be Suicide Squad.
They would be unstoppable together. Just the two best marksmen ever.
That would be amazing.
I
do think Will Smith. You see, that's the difference here. I still thought Will Smith was Will Smith.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He's just gruff Will Smith. He's just gruffer Will Smith, right? Yeah. It's like different shades of Will Smith. But Idris Elba to me was a real character.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've seen Idris Elba play tough guy, and I think it's really great. Like Jeff Snyder actually pointed this out, of how he is not someone. Idris Elba is constantly in these big tentpole movies, but is not in any good ones. And he finally gets a role here that's substantial and really gets a chance to showcase. So don't overlook the guy. But anyway. Deadshot and him would be great together, but I'd like to see that. I think that'd be fun for a third film. Mm-hmm. I do think it would be fun to mix and match some of the cast.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, in capable hands, I think any of these possibilities would be fun. If James Gunn wants to do more and decides to bring further, back characters in, do it.
Yeah. We will watch Eric Voss's Easter egg breakdown. It's a movie breakdown. We'll probably put that up tomorrow morning, so keep a lookout for that. So figured we'd do our spoiler talk first. We're not rushing to get it up right now.
Everybody's rushing.
Yes, just this little side note. Yeah, like that. Those are always like obviously not as intense of an edit as what the actual new Rockstars does, but for us, we're like, if it's one of the Marvel shows, that's usually like a quick. It's quite a bit of more work than you might think it is. I'll say that. All right, not gonna go
Greg's
all into
on the
it.
keys, his fingers are catching fire.
Copyright claim. Your brother is live on his channel, Jabby Live. Please rate him, Gregory. I'm not gonna be a dick. Let him be a dick and come here.
I'll raid him on the phone.
You dick.
I'll go on the phone and raid your brother's ass.
Mike T54. Thank you again, buddy.
Welcome back.
If there is a third Suicide Squad movie, who would be the 5-person team you'd want them to focus on of the survivors of 1 and 2? Ooh, what a way to narrow it down. All of the.
Yep.
Our camera is Canon, and it cuts every 30 minutes.
Yes. Everybody who's subscribed.
Everyone from
to
the
this
Suicide
movie.
Squad and Deadshot.
Yeah.
Just that.
Well, because
What do you got? Ratcatcher 2.
Ratcatcher, Harley, and Bloodsport. Do we count Weasel? Are we gonna count Weasel? Do we want Weasel?
No.
I could sacrifice Weasel. Peacemaker, I think, is doing his own thing. That's fine. Let him.
You
do
know,
his own
you know
thing.
how
Okay.
Zack Snyder, not Zack Snyder.
Deadshot.
Why am I saying Zack Snyder? The Watchmen. You know how the Watchmen. That's why I was saying Zack Snyder. You know how Watchmen, the graphic novel, has the tale from the Tales from the Freight? What the hell is that called?
The Tales of the Black Freighter.
Freighter, yeah.
Right.
So they have that in there, and I think it would be cool for the next one if you just weave into like an occasional cut to Weasel's storyline.
Yes. Yeah.
Just-
No.
he never joins the team.
Like in Ice Age movies when they cut to Scrat.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always just like a little comic strip in the middle. Yeah, I would be down. See, we said earlier though that we need a king shark and a killer croc, so I feel like, that means we're gonna have to sacrifice somebody.
What do you mean?
we
How
want
many would that be? King Shark. I prefer King Shark over Killer Croc. All right, King Shark.
Oh, I thought we wanted them to meet. All right, King Shark, Bloodsport,
Harley.
Ratcatcher 2, and then
Deadshot.
I mean,
that'd be hilarious.
yeah. What do we want Diablo back?
Diablo died.
Yeah, but we could resurrect him.
No, not in a comic book universe. Lairdo, love what you guys do. Awesome work. Oh, thanks, buddy. Thank you, Lairdo. It means a lot.
I love what you do in being here today.
Cam K.
Ooh.
Hey, Greg and John. Fan of y'all's in Campia.
Aw.
Great to see you there.
He's here in the chat.
Yeah, John Campia's in the chat. What up, Camps? Anyways,
He's submitting a topic.
do you feel like King Shark should have done something more significant?
I thought he did.
I've watched a lot of King Shark interpretations. A lot. He's sometimes been the main villain of an episode or two in Flash. Well, more than that. He's appeared quite a bit. Really humanized him at one point. Seen him in many animated stuff. He's hilarious in the Harley Quinn show. This is about what King Shark would do. Like I don't feel like King Shark would have done that much more.
It doesn't seem as though.
I thought he was perfectly used. Perfectly used.
He's not going to be your leader of the team.
Ooh, Katana, though. Going back to
That's
the
a good
previous
one.
question would be Michael Mark says that. Katana.
That's
That would be a good one.
That's one I would like to see the potential delivered upon for sure.
Braden Steele felt bad for Starro, was tortured and wanted to float in space. All I want to do is float in space. Of course,
Winnie the Pooh.
of course
Wanna
he
do
was
nothing.
mad. I would have been sad if. How do you pronounce that? Nanawe?
Nanawe.
God, I always forget it. Nanawe?
That's how they were saying it.
Nanawe. I gotta
Nanawe.
just do a syllable.
Nanawe.
Nanawe. The fish eating him scared me. I thought I was gonna die there.
I did too.
What
I
a
was like,
fucked up
this
death.
is what it'll be. These intergalactic jellyfish will be the sinker.
What a shitty way to kill him off.
Yeah, damn.
We just introduced these fish and we're gonna kill them now?
Yeah, there's nothing to do with the main plot. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I thought his purpose was served nicely, and he is such a presence, you know.
Yeah. And Sylvester Stallone was like perfectly like it is a strange it's strange to me how Gunn has the ability to go buff action hero. Limited dialogue.
Yeah.
Come to my voice booth. You'll be perfect for this guy.
Have fun with this. Do all the takes.
Yeah, Vin, you go in here. Yeah.
Do an individual Groot for every single one. Yeah. And I appreciate Stallone for being down for that. I feel like he wouldn't do that for just anybody. So James Gunn, again, either must have something on him or just must be that, respect deserving for, filmmaking prowess.
Look, I don't know if you guys are enjoying the stream, but if you are, can you please hit that like button if you are? I'm not looking at views or how many people are here. I'm not doing any of that today. So whoever's just here, thank you. And I am really I'm enjoying this. We haven't done a live stream in so long, so this is fun. Cam just got here. Is John's hair lining up with Harley Quinn's on his shirt intentional? What a wild coincidence. If not, well, John, is it?
I did these braids intentionally.
I'll flash it away.
The fact
they're not lining up.
The fact that they are
hers go up here.
Yeah, I mean hers are like but like the fact that they kind of fall in the same place on the shirt is coincidental, as are the colors being similar for the tie.
Yeah.
It's just kind of life happenstance. So
Well, it looks great. And the ladies love it, John.
This was just for today, just for Suicide Squad.
Nash Sanadiki.
Hey, buddy.
I also thought Thinker worked more like a Dwight Schrute character. I actually totally see where you're coming from. I 100% see where you're coming from.
Now I just imagined a Rainn Wilson version of the Thinker.
These old beats! Starro must produce beats!
Someone's got to meme that. Someone's gonna make
He would be he's a good Dwight Schrute character. To me, that is an apt comparison.
deep fake some Thinker moments into office scenes.
Oh, that's hysterical. Thank you for that, Nash. I love that a lot. Gene, happy birthday again.
Gene,
happy birthday to you.
Humphrey Quinn, thank you, Gene. Gene Joint.
I didn't know who Bloodsport was. Now I do. Can't believe we got a movie with no gender or race swapping, and it was awesome.
I think that's what happens when you just have a really diverse cast. It's like it is just a very diverse cast. And it doesn't really have any need to be like, check out our diversity, guys.
Raghu in the chat is saying, how do you pronounce your name? Raghu? I always get names like yours wrong. Did you guys notice Palm Clementine? Because he's always he comments on like pretty much every one of our videos. Mm-hmm. Did you guys notice Palm Clementine is as the dancer in the Suicide Squad? Did you? I did not. Is that the Guardians of the Galaxy Easter egg that everyone's saying that I did not notice?
Yes.
Is that the one?
Yeah. I
didn't notice it.
The first time I noticed the shot and the way the shot was held, and I was like, that's somebody. And then the second time I was like, oh, it's Mantis. She's on when they go into the bar and there's that shot of the dancers like up on the table and they're bathing.
Oh, that's why she looks so familiar.
She's the one in the middle.
Yeah, once
like
you described the shot, I saw it. Yeah.
So, a little Guardians love there.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, he brings his friends.
James Gunn and Tarantino are like the two directors who I can think of where they're like, you want to show up for like a second?
Yeah.
I'm like, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
I got an afternoon to spare.
Why not?
What do you need me for? Where are you shooting at?
Let's see here. I'm glad Starro wasn't the real villain, but U.S. government.
I thought that was a thing I was surprised about, that they were that forward about being like, the U.S. government's been funding some nasty stuff and they want to cover it up, and that's the real villain of the movie. I was like, oh, we're getting a little bit real here.
Yeah, but the in the context of how it's done, and it's not exactly a surprising reveal.
No,
it's like, to me, I wasn't like, what? I'm like, nah, there's a reason Amanda Waller's sending them in here.
Yeah, that's fair.
They're probably doing a cover up.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a surprise, but it's nice to hear a comic book movie that can have a bit of a political slant to it.
Yeah.
Overthrowing communism.
Yeah.
Government or U.S. government being bad.
Funding hostile regimes.
U.S. government not wanting to help out
on unethical weapons and biology experiments.
But without being the takeaway of James Gunn just pushing his political opinions down my throat.
Well, yeah, because it just comes across as another aspect of a very complicated little world.
Right, right.
Yeah, instead of being like, let's stop everything and make this the point.
I think like Michael Mark in the chat is saying Mongol had like no screen time, and I feel like for any of these characters who did die, especially in the beginning, The DC multiverse has been well established for a while now.
Flashpoint's coming.
It's been, no, we don't even need Flashpoint. Might just help make it a little bit clearer in terms of seeing some type of weird thread.
Yeah,
which is just a sci-fi lines of
scribble
planets
out.
and lines. Yeah, but I don't think. I think they could still appear in something. They could just come as a different character in something else.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's about it. I wasn't bummed by any deaths because even on HBO Max, because I saw this twice in theaters, and I wanted to watch this a little bit on HBO Max. They say in their ad, like they have like a compilation of DC films that plays before the Suicide Squad, and they reference it as the DC multiverse. So, like if there's a character here like Mongol or Blackguard or whatever, or Javelin, and you're like, I want them to come back. They still can.
Yeah.
Even Boomerang can come back.
Yeah.
And some Offset in a different world. You know what I mean?
Well, and the more that they clarify their universe, I think, and the more steady it gets and the more it has a chance to expand, I think you would have better opportunities. Like, I don't know what the ultimate, it's only the second Suicide Squad movie. This is a bit of a course correction. But, like, you could, I feel like for this, even just go with that anthology. Like, let's just mix up some different characters. And, hey, maybe a couple of them, maybe this is in the past, and a couple of them are in another movie, and, they probably won't die here, but we'll still use them interestingly. Like, that would, it feels like you could still, if anybody does a good enough portrayal or any character's beloved enough, they could come back at some point.
Oh, Michael did not like the Milton gag.
Oh, buddy, I'm sorry.
Let's see.
We'll cut it out for you in the HBO cut.
All right, really quick. We got a couple of more super chats that did pop up in here.
Soupy sales.
Oh, John, what did I do?
You did everything. You opened up the chat menu.
As long as this movie's better than the new 2016 version.
Yes, it is. I think almost objectively. Although I saw one comment in our review or somewhere, maybe even in this chat, saying that they drastically preferred the original 16 version. So they're out there. If you're feeling lonely, search around.
Let's see here. Tristan, I had to mute you, buddy. All right, where are we at? Renee Carroll. Is that right? Yeah. Renee Carroll.
Hey.
Hi from Chicago. Love you guys. We love you, Renee. I really appreciate you being here.
The Bears.
Thank you. Dark Jedi Knight.
Ooh, when King Shark split that guy in half and the camera went slow-mo, all I could think of was King Shark wins. Flawless victory. Fatality.
He did get the Mortal Kombat kills. Like the one where he chops that guy's head off and then the head's in the mouth and the eyes dart. Yeah. He does get the Mortal Kombat deaths.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Dark Jedi Knight.
Oh, dude. I'll DLC character. Let's do this. Mortal
King
Kombat.
Shark would be a cool DLC character in Mortal Kombat. I'd be down for that.
Yeah, and it would perfectly work in that world, supernaturally speaking.
Thank you, Leon the Sleepy. That's a really kind comment. J-Born of the Select Few. Please.
Hey, guys. Fan of the show. I don't know. I loved the movie, but I don't like them killing Flag. Plus, they made Cena unlikable. Flag's last words? Thoughts?
I really did not suspect
justice for Flag.
This would be the most talked about thing during
Justice
this live
for
stream.
Flag.
I did not think this would be the most discussed thing.
I wonder if they even expected that.
It makes me happy because Rick Flag was someone who was shat on in terms of when you look back at the other Suicide Squad movie, but people really like him here, and I'm really happy for that. And I do remember James Gunn putting out some tweet way before the movie was released of there's this character who dies in it, and every time I watch it, I cry. I think he was, just based off the tweet, I felt like he's after watching the movie, I feel like he's talking about Rick Flag.
I feel like, yeah.
He would have the death that would warrant that emotional response. That or Polka-Dot band, but I feel like but the Rick Flag death has a little bit more breath to it.
Yeah.
So, I feel like that would be the one.
It feels the most personal, and it is like a truly heartbreaking moment, and he goes out, to the utmost. Like, I think his last line is great. That his last dying breath, he sends one more jab under his skin, What a joke.
Yes. But, where are we at right here? I mean, we've talked about it quite a bit already here on the live stream. But I didn't think it made Cena unlikable. I mean, unlikable in that moment. But when I watched it the second time, I still really like Peacemaker a lot, and you're not supposed to like him in that movie. I don't think you're supposed to agree with him in that. Well, maybe you are someone who agrees with Peacemaker.
Maybe you love government cover-ups.
Maybe you are the one who does.
Fine.
But I wonder. It does make me wonder what they're gonna do with his character in the show, considering the downward trajectory the perspective takes on Peacemaker here, where he ultimately is cast in a villainous shadow. By the end of this film, they don't really make it an equal debate. He's put in a villainous shadow here of what will they do with his character in the in the show that he's in. Will they rewrite him? And I know James Gunn worked on it directly too. So I'm like, what would they change about him? Is he gonna learn about the black and white territory versus it all has to be this one way about keeping it peaceful?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm curious too, and I think the one thing is, especially I feel like in long-running comic book stories with anti-heroes and whatnot, there is a certain, I don't know, just narrative heft in taking a character who's a bit challenging, and then, pretty soon, like, a weird example for this particular movie, but, you think of a Devil's Reject scenario, and, like, those are terrible people, but after, 25 minutes of, table turning, all of a sudden you feel a way about them that you didn't think you necessarily would, and I feel like, somebody like Peacemaker, there are so many things you can point to, even characters where you're like, this character was on the down and then they got powered up. Awesome. Oh shit. Now they're confident again and giving into their worst inclinations. So like there's anything that good storytelling can do to make a character like that more interesting. And I feel like, they hint at the part of Peacemaker that is sinister and that most people probably wouldn't be down with throughout the movie. It's not just there. So when it comes out, you're like, I can see it.
I would rather have Weasel get his own show. Michael in the chat says that. Kiefer Grudman Brady, thank you again, bud. Do you guys have a desire to see an Ayer cut? Yeah, yes. I do. I feel like it would be right to see it. Yeah. I'm not saying it's going to be great. Like Snyder cut was one where I'm like, I'm pretty sure that would be pretty awesome. I'm pretty confident about that.
Especially if you like Zack Snyder's stuff, yeah.
And especially after seeing this movie, James Gunn has been very open about how he really feels like WB let him have the creative liberties. Whatever he wanted to do, they let him do. He's been pretty open about how the one thing they inquired him about is maybe including Harley Quinn, but they also gave him the option to not do it. They just would like her. I don't know if it was like a pressure situation. Maybe. I feel like anytime they're asking that, you might feel it. But James Gunn's a professional enough for this amount of time. Anyway.
He said he wanted to write for Harley Quinn.
Yeah, and he clearly enjoyed writing for Harley, I think. So, with that in mind, it's like he got to do his Suicide Squad. It was like I believe his words that he was able to fulfill his vision. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did get Snyder cut. James Gunn gets to do it, and it's I also firmly believe what David Ayer has said about that's not his edit. Mm-hmm. It's really obvious when you like watch that first trailer, which feels more like a David Ayer film.
Yeah,
and then you watch the movie and then how the trailers progressed and then hearing about the trailer companies that came in to edit it and really rework it in terms of reacting to what fans were saying about like BVS at the time and all that. I don't know if the Ayer cut would be good or not. I'm really up in the air about it of maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Mm-hmm. I'm more like, I just think it's right. I just think it's fair to let him just for us to see it.
It's become such a thorn over time, and it's become
spend $30 million into it.
That's the trouble, right? But it is like so much work, and it is like so easy to see when you look at that movie that like a lot of things were. This was not how this was originally intended to be. And it does seem like one of a few remaining sort of loose ends that, it would just feel right to kind of have completed in some way. Plus, I don't know, maybe that'll strengthen your brand that much more.
Teague.
Ooh, what other properties would you like to see Gunn adapt? I would like to see Twisted Metal. You could definitely do Twisted Metal.
Guys, if you'd hit that like button, that'd be great.
Yeah.
What other properties is there? A Twisted Metal would be good. I was on John Campia's show recently, and I really pitched Swamp Thing. I think he'd be doing an amazing Swamp Thing film.
Ooh.
Like Slither. If you guys haven't seen Slither, do yourself a favor, watch James Gunn Slither. You know, it's pretty awesome, and it's got some of that B movie schlock to it with, but it's also really inventive and really it's like a pure James Gunn film in a lot of ways, and it's got a lot of body horror, a lot of sci-fi horror, and I feel like Swamp Thing is actually a really cool character that whose villains often involve like crazy scientists and God, I can't remember the villain's name right now. Sorry, guys, it's been a weird morning, and I've been trying not to bring that up all day. But so, with 90 minutes is the last, you mentioned that, but it's kind of been a chaotic morning for me. I normally do a lot to prep my mind. Well, I need to remember it. I'm thinking Jason Woodrow. That's not it. It's the what is the other? I don't remember. But one of his main villains is like a scientist who creates the unmen, and also has magic abilities, some necromancy abilities. And Swamp Thing, I think, would lend itself properly to James Gunn's sensibilities. I feel like naturally when you say James Gunn, you might think, "Oh, Justice League Dark," do an ensemble or something like that. While I feel like, yeah, that's kind of his thing. He does the ensemble game. I think doing Swamp Thing would be just more interesting to me, and I feel like he'd be able to really commit to the horror of it, but also bringing sort of that fantastical sci-fi horror whimsy, and maybe even deal with some magic, considering that's what Swamp Thing often goes up against. So, yeah, I think Swamp Thing would be cool. I've only seen segments of Swamp Thing. Homeboy reacts to that. I've only seen segments of the show Swamp Thing, which had some awesome practical effects. It was like really good. Have you seen any of it?
Only the ads.
There's some really good practical
Mears, right?
things that really make you think of the show, The Thing. I think of the movie, The Thing, John Carpenter's, and that was surprisingly the aesthetic and the violence to it was surprisingly really good from the segments I've seen, but I haven't seen the show itself. But I do think James Gunn would nail a Swamp Thing. But yeah, I mean, is there a DC one you'd like to see him do?
Another DC. It's funny. I don't know if I could think of another DC. Weirdly, the first thing that came to mind, Conquers Bad Fur Day. The first thing that came to my mind, and it's kind of a low-hanging fruit, but I mean, I think it would be super fun to see what James Gunn would do with a Deadpool movie. Like, if he comes back, finishes Guardians, I feel like that's the next place at Marvel where I could be excited about James Gunn's expression. Or like, I don't know, because then you just go, yeah, like Justice League Dark or something like that, or I feel like
Deadpool would always be Ryan Reynolds' movie.
Yeah, it would, but I feel like if anybody could maybe like truly be another presence that you could feel in the even more. People say Taika Waititi all the time, and I feel like. More so, like, I get it for the humor's sake, but for the true breadth of weirdness and strangeness of that world, like, I feel like he would dunk that pretty hard.
I don't want them to do. Some people are pitching Doom Patrol in the chat. I wouldn't want them to do a Doom Patrol movie because the show is incredible. Like, Flash show seems to be kind of on a downward trajectory for audiences. I even completely fell off of it. And while I think James Gunn would absolutely just do an amazing Doom Patrol film, I want people to go to the show right now. And I don't think people are going to the show enough. If you haven't seen the Doom Patrol show, it's one of the best things DC has ever done. It is fucking awesome. It is bonkers. And I cannot. I've talked about it quite a bit, and I really don't know how well. Every time it's picked up for another season, I'm like, thank God, because I don't hear people really talk about this show.
I would like to see James Gunn's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
That'd be fun.
That I would actually want to see try and happen, because that falls under the DC umbrella, right? Alan Moore and
Alan Moore would never watch that.
I know, but if anybody could make it maybe good, I feel like maybe James Gunn could do that.
Povenmeyer, Tyrone didn't like it. This guy has no taste. I wouldn't say that.
I mean, it's subjective.
It's subjective, man. Like, I can understand you being upset, and it bums me out that he didn't like it, because I feel like lately Tyrone and I are just not on the same page about movies anymore. We're often
can't go to the theaters
conflicting
together.
opinions, and I thought we might even feel the same about Black Widow. I'm like, this guy seems to like Black Widow a lot more than yeah.
Interesting.
So, it's kind of interesting how lately I'm hoping he really likes Free Guy because I want everyone to watch Free Guy.
That's the last stand right there.
But no, it's just different opinion. You know, it's like you can't fault someone for the way they feel. The way someone feels is the way they feel, and you can't control that. You know, and sometimes it can be hearing the a deeper opinion piece to maybe enhance, or I won't even say enhance. That sounds like I'm putting down someone's opinion, or sway someone's opinion. That's happened with me before. It doesn't happen often, but it has happened with me where I'm like, I never looked at it that way. And then when I go back and watch it, I see it through that lens. That's kind of what was probably happening with BVS for me, was I would hear like the in-depth opinions, not just you suck, Snyder rocks. Like I would hear like the in-depth opinions about it. And I'm like, I never really viewed it. And then when I would go back, I would start with kind of that angle to see if I could see it from there. And then I would formulate more opinions now and add on to that. And so, yeah. But I wouldn't, if someone doesn't like it, it's really, reviews are a funny game. I feel like Red Letter Media and generally Cosmonaut Variety Hour they have this good fan base where if they have the unpopular opinion, they're not going to be stormed with hate or dislikes. It's cool to be that. Like, we're not there. But
we don't have a fan base that really echoes our direct sentiments.
Yeah, and I have like, what is it? There's like I don't think even Beyond the Trailer even has that, so that's just. But the reality is like you just gotta be honest, and sometimes you don't have the pop. Your opinion is not in line with the majority thing, and you kind of just gotta be honest. And a lot of the time too, people have made up their minds whether or not they're gonna love it or not.
Yeah,
so. I don't know. I'm the kind of person who I always just look at what they're saying, and if I can respect it, then I'll upvote you. I don't think I've actually hit the downvote on a video before, and so I'll just leave the video. I won't hit the downvote. Yeah,
I appreciate an opinion very different from mine, especially on something like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it only, I don't know, it's that old argument of like it only serves to make your own opinion stronger, or test your own sort of critical thinking surrounding whatever thing.
Ooh, James Gunn doing a Spawn. I was gonna start up Spawn last night, the HBO show.
That's a good call.
I haven't seen the Spawn show, and I was like, maybe you react to it. I don't know.
Should have said that.
But a Spawn show would be a Judge Dredd movie would be pretty neat.
I saw Ninja Turtles. That would be cool.
Let's see.
Really R-rated Ninja Turtles. Make him gross.
R-rated Ninja
Make him
Turtles.
Gross. Make Splinter gross.
Michael Keaton as Condiment King. Sean Gunn was Calendar Man in there.
Yeah, I mean he's the guy who calls Polka-Dot Man a pussy.
Yeah, Calendar Man.
Yeah.
You could tell by the
orange
writings on his face, by the orange jumpsuit, yeah,
and his baldness.
Yeah. Didn't he have like writing? Like there were things in there that made me think that's got to be Calendar Man.
Oh, I gotta go look at his face again. You are probably correct.
Channel the Great. I thought we got his super chat. Didn't we?
What? Let's go down.
We don't miss super chats.
Let's go down.
If
we
anyone,
can find
we
it. If
don't
it's here,
miss
we can
super
find
chats.
It. We do not.
We are
going back to March.
We are way past the timeline.
What we can do? We can run
Control
there
F.
We go.
Oh, we did miss you.
Did. There you are.
We fucked up.
Currently,
you're totally right.
Currently watching it now.
My bad.
It's okay.
All that defending, like, what are you talking about?
You
wrong.
are an idiot.
Yeah, we totally messed up.
Channel the Great.
So sorry.
Okay, Chanel. Currently watching it now. So I just wanted to stop in and say, what's up, you guys? All right, I'm out. I don't want to hear no spoilers.
Well, it's been a while. What did you think?
Yeah, did you finish it, or did you just come
finish
back
it?
to check in?
Enjoy the movie. It really, God, it was... Every movie that I've seen this year that has had a dual release, Suicide Squad was the only one where I'm like, damn it. I wish this wasn't coming out streaming. You know, some people want to say about like Godzilla versus Kong or Black Widow, and I respect that. But the one that really generated the feeling for me was Suicide Squad of damn, now I'm gonna feel what all those theaters and studios are feeling. I'm just like, why the fuck did you do this?
And regardless of the performance, now I'm just gonna be focused on did streaming have anything to do with that?
I mean, seeing how many people are talking about this, seeing how many people I'm expecting that it's done incredibly well on HBO Max. Mm-hmm. I completely believe that.
Yeah.
And it's underperforming at the box office currently. Who knows? Maybe today there'll be some like random surge. Mm-hmm. That's happened before, where it's like Friday's kind of dead, but then Saturday's like really rich and alive. But yeah, I mean, I wish more people would, watch this in the theater. I'm trying to show my theater support more. I just bought tickets again for Free Guy.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm like, I gotta watch Free Guy again. I want to see that in IMAX. And I'm like, and then I opened it up like, no one's bought tickets for Free Guy.
Well, that's the hard.
Damn it.
That was the heartening, and
it's true.
Also
Venom might make a huge difference. Or Shang-Chi too is coming out too.
That was the thing yesterday as I was searching around because I was like I felt like to go back to the theater is probably the right way to do this. And I looked on the AMC. I didn't go to AMC because the screenings were so heavily sold.
Oh, for Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
Cool.
That I wound up.
John, save us! Save us! Bring us back to the light!
I wound up purchasing a ticket at the Laemmle because I could at least get a little bit of space from people. But even then, that was a pretty well attended screening. So it was heartening to me. It seemed like because lately in the few opportunities I've had to like look in the app and be like, what movies are playing? What tickets are there? Usually stuff is wide open.
Yeah.
So hopefully it picks up.
You know what I would also add to the film really quick? So I'm seeing people finally talking about our comment. We might not always like go directly to read a comment and then completely riff off that, but the subjects of what guide our discussion are based off of what's going on in the chat usually. What I'll say too about what did you think about with Harley? I'm gonna bring this back to the movie again really quick. What did you think about Harley having her own side story and then how it ties? Because the first time I watched it, I remember thinking it felt like it might have been slowing down a little too much for me when she's like talking with the dictator and then romancing with him and stuff. Mm-hmm. Eventually, it really like I was like once she shoots him and has that monologue, I was really digging it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I loved her like that delivery on the dialogue. Honestly, Harley is usually so she's always been psychotic, crazy, loony, whatever the word you want to apply. But that scene to me was the most unnerving of any of her actual like real acting scenes that she's done in any of the movies.
Yeah.
Of like, this is an icky scene to watch. This is weird. She just had sex with this guy and shot him.
He's crawling through a pool
and
of blood.
The tone of it is just so unsettling to me.
Yeah.
And she's like apologizing for him and she's like, but you look better this
way.
Look
so
like,
beautiful.
That is the first time I felt that uncomfortable feeling in my heart of, oh, this is kind of the Harley I wanted. To be this uncomfortable with her, with just a dialogue scene,
without all those ugly thoughts in your head.
It felt It felt like in the insanity, the provocative nature of her character in all the right ways.
Yeah.
So there's so much that seems to be the thing that has such the two debates that I'm seeing happen with this movie have to do with just they really have killed off everyone at the beginning and the handling of Harley Quinn. And I gotta say, I think the handling of Harley Quinn was cool. And I loved kind of like the fantasy nature the movie provides to it. This almost Destiny tone to it, where at the end, like, they set her up where she has that scene with Javelin where she hands off the Javelin. The Javelin keeps coming back to her, like it's drawn to her, like in the fight scene when she breaks out, it comes back to her.
Yeah.
Love how she just tucks it into the cab so smoothly through the window.
Yeah.
And then when the tower is collapsing, it's the shot with Polka-Dot Man, Bloodsport, her running, and she sees the Javelin. Hey,
yeah. Well, that's it's the perfect little magical cartoon beat, and it ties like I don't know, I get I feel like anytime you talk about this story, you have to be like, I get how it could seem sort of like a side quest, but to me, especially taking the javelin bit and the fact that she and Flag are the two that get off the beach, like it spoke to me to, again, this movie does have a sort of anthological kind of pacing to me, and so there are lots of things happening in a lot of different places. There are a lot of moving parts, and what Harley is doing still has to do with the situation. It's still in part of the center of the conflict, and it does have an effect on the overall plot, and
Sure.
it also is on their way to getting everybody to where they need to be. So to me, again, it's another choice that feels like in some way you can count on it being a little more divisive. It's not a choice for everybody. But to me, I was like, yeah, I like that, it makes a little bit of sense that at least one of these characters would be isolated for a little bit of time, and we'll use that as a means to do something for that character, but also something a little different. And, Harley as a character has her own world to exist in. So it felt appropriate to me, but I wouldn't necessarily tell you you're wrong for maybe feeling like it could have been handled differently or could have been paced differently or something like that.
Oh, yeah. True. Oh, shit. We did the exact thing I was worried about.
What's that?
Did the exact thing where I was like, we can't start making, sometimes we start making points and then super chat comes in and I'm like, oh, crap. We could have reserved that point for when the super chat came in, because we're also going off of what's going on in just the regular live stream chat too.
Doing our
but
best.
I didn't monitor this well enough. Charles Harkins said, did you see Harley killing that dictator coming? Because I didn't. Monologue callback afterwards made my low-key favorite scene. Well, we just talked about that significantly. But I will say, what I can add to it is I did not see that coming.
No, absolutely not.
That was a moment where she shot him that actually surprised me.
Yeah. And
because she just banged.
Exactly. And at the moment of the gunshot, you're not even sure who did it. So, yeah, there's a double reveal there of oh, it's her.
Because I thought she did it because I'm like, it's the mission. you know?
Yeah. And I love that too. Of I didn't even think this gun would have a bullet.
But thank you for the super chat. But Alto Volteje, the fact Cena is a figure for little kids and you have him cursing and blowing shit up brings a tear to my eye and a big grin to my face.
That's
Ain't
right.
that the
That's
truth?
new Captain America right there.
I love how much John Cena has embraced this. Going to doing interviews and then going to the premiere dressed up as Peacemaker, wearing the actual costume, just how committed he is to it.
Yeah.
That's just smart to me.
Yeah.
That's really smart.
It just makes it that much more fun. It's more shareable. It's going to get more people talking about the movie.
It's funny because he's not in character as Peacemaker. He's just dressed up as
He's just cosplaying as Peacemaker.
He's not doing what Will Ferrell does when he's like Ron Burgundy. He's not doing that, or Sacha Baron Cohen. He's just dressed up as Peacemaker, but I'm just John Cena, just in my Peacemaker outfit.
This is how I hang out.
Yeah.
It's not a toilet seat. It's a beacon of chillaxing.
Libin Ali.
Ooh. Since we are talking about James Gunn adapting properties, I would really like to see him try his hands at Ghost Rider. That would be pretty fun.
Different. That'd be a different swing.
And it would probably be, a turn into something maybe a bit tonally darker. I'm sure there would still be humor, but not quite as much.
I think he could kind of feed into the demented nature that Ghost Rider brings.
Oh, yeah, and the hellish. Yeah,
And he'd make Mephisto hilarious.
Yeah, Mephisto would be played by Christopher Walken.
Chad the Great, thank you for reminding us. I hope you enjoyed the movie, buddy. I think we got a couple little, what do we got here?
A little Streamlabs. We want to refresh that, or are we up to date?
We're up to date.
All right.
All right, what's going on here?
We are...
Right here. This is all right. Jay Bizzle, I love the show, guys. But did anyone see the second stinger? Know that Flag is alive and in the hospital? Flag is alive and in the hospital? You're a troll, my friend. You're a troll.
That scene just keeps going, and they keep walking down the hall. Flag's alive. Oh, we're gonna need him. Oh, this guy's alive. We're gonna need him. Hey, we put Savant's head back together. We're gonna need him.
Polka-Dot Man's alive. All right, great. Here we go.
We got Boomerang's arm. We were able to regrow his body. He's alive.
Popcorn. Can we ask questions not related to the movie? Yeah, you can ask questions not related to the movie. I found you all because of the Schmodown. Will you be attending the live event? Thanks. I don't know. Is
Which
there some
live event?
Is there an email we missed?
I thought there was
we
just
don't know about?
I thought there was just some kind of event.
I
but,
missed many emails from the Schmodown.
If there's a live event, that's a big old maybe.
Yeah.
Depends on where it is. It depends on how
Maybe
how the city is doing.
Are we wanted at Schmodown events?
I don't know if we would be that
I
big
feel
of
like
a draw.
you're wanted.
Nah. But you're Greg, man.
But you're John.
You're Greg.
Ratman carried the whole movie. Cooper says.
Woo, Ratman.
Ratman.
Where's my Ratman t-shirt?
What? No one's been talking about Ratman.
No
this whole
one.
time.
No one's talked about Ratman. Or any of the rats, really. Shouts out to Sebastian and all of his many brothers and sisters and otherwise.
You know, Batman1234 in the chat said, I literally turned to my cousin the moment Javelin gave Harley and said, that Javelin's going to save the day, and it fucking happened. Javelin is the real hero. I really thought it was cool when Harley was like, these are my friends. No, I thought it was cool how they all had a chance to showcase their abilities and work as a unit, and you do see visually before anyone's like, he's leading to Bloodsport to say he starts leading.
Yeah.
I love the shot that's like following them. It kind of looks like an anime shot, like Harley jumping up on the roof and stuff. So I really appreciated those moments. But I really love that shot when Harley climbs up on the wall, puts the javelin on, you have Starro's eye, and you're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's like, it's showing you, it's like James Gunn's letting you know, no, she's going to use the javelin to pierce through his eye.
Yeah.
Like, and the shot just tells you that's what's going to happen,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, and that's another thing about, the way the opening is handled is like that's an element that makes Javelin feel kind of still present to me anyway, even though he's not there. It makes that character presence feel like it lingered beyond the opening.
Man, I want this movie to do well. People keep asking about it. All right. Guys, we're going to wrap up the stream in just a little bit. I don't know how much time we're going on here, but it's going a while.
Yeah, almost at 2 hours. Getting close.
Let's see here.
Popcorn.
Okay. Yeah, we're just going to wrap up the last of these super chats here, but thank you to all who have contributed so
It's been
far.
fun. It's nice to be back on the live.
Let's bring this back. Name's not Milton. That's going to be that's going to be that's not he says that's not my name. That's what Bloodsport says?
Yeah.
He says not my name.
Yeah. Yeah, not my name.
Not my name. That's going to be a great gift.
Yeah.
That's going to be a great gift. Michael D'Souza, you can become a patron if you want.
You can absolutely. The choice is yours. The choice is yours.
That's how our Patreon should be set up. Do we want you?
Go through an approval
want
process
you to be a
and
patron?
background check to get into our Patreon.
Hyper survey is what we got.
Yeah. Would you submit a blood test, please?
Mr. Vaju.
Ooh. Missed you guys. I watched it in theaters. Yes. Was a little disappointed. Aw.
Should have watched on HBO Max.
Would have loved it then.
Then you would have loved it, man.
Liked it, not loved it. Good, not great. Enjoyed it more at home. Third best DCEU movie.
Nice.
Dang. Okay, that's fair. Hey, we take all comers here. It's good to hear from you, Mr. Vaju.
Fear and Loathing, and I think you're Mr. Vaju. Yeah, we respect your opinion, buddy. It's okay.
Now get the hell out of here.
Or if you want to contribute again, go for it. Fear and Loathing.
In general.
In general. That's a great name. James Gunn doing a Green Lantern film, but shot like cops. Hal, John, Kyle, and Guy, and we're riding along with them. What the fuck? That would be so bad. Why would you need James Gunn for that?
Just the premise alone is the star of that show.
Yeah, you don't need James Gunn to do that.
I just want to see what a pitch of that looks like, please. With full CGI.
That'd be funny, though. I would like it.
Zack Snyder's Cops.
Glad people are championing the theater experience in the chat right now.
Yay.
Life of Night. As much as I enjoy the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, I enjoyed James Gunn, The Suicide Squad more. Also, this movie makes me like Rick Flag. I would second these statements. I would have to revisit them, but I think for my personal taste, I would say I like them more than, because there's so much more I'm factoring in than maybe a lot of other people are. Like you could just really tell that this is just his movie.
Yeah.
Or the Guardians is like, it's James Gunn's movie, but it's also like a lot of Marvel input.
It's a big old
It's a great
part of
movie.
a bigger plan.
It's amazing. Top tier MCU, and I love they're easily top. The first one is top MCU films for me. But this just felt more like a pure film to me. You know?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it goes to somewhat weirder emotional places, especially, and it trudges greater depths, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah Campbell just joined the live. Haven't seen the movie. Haven't decided if I will. Just saying, hey, boys, hope you're doing well. Sarah Campbell, we are doing well.
It's good to see
And
you.
as someone like you who doesn't watch comic book movies ever, I would watch this one and then let it set an expectation for you that all comic book movies are like this.
Yes, that all be in the guise of a 70s action thriller.
Is this what Ant-Man and the Wasp is like?
Wow, this is grittier
This
than I
is
expected.
cooler than I would have thought. I thought this was for children.
Yeah, no, it's complex characters.
I'm going to watch Fantastic Four directed by Tim Story now.
Yeah, followed straight up with Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Oh, and Peter Pacheco, you're ending off our
Aw,
super chats for the day, buddy.
dude.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate ya.
Good job, Greg, when you were on Campia show. Hey, thanks.
Yeah,
Have you seen New Rockstar?
heard you tipping in on the Campia show just the other day.
Have you seen New Rockstar's Easter eggs?
That's up next.
That's very we did it while we're live streaming.
Yeah,
This is all pre-recorded what you've been watching. Fucked all you guys over.
But the reaction to the Easter eggs tomorrow morning will be performed live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing
That
is
would
as
be
it
tough.
seems. It would be. It could be.
There's got to be a way to do that one day. That'd
It's
be
possible
great.
with
To do
OBS.
a live stream Easter egg New Rockstars and watch us.
It's possible in OBS.
Make sure we commit everything to memory.
Yeah.
All those times that I cut out of the videos, and I'm like, wait, what was the name of that guy again?
Let's really quick.
Wait, who was that again? Yeah.
Wait, go back. What the hell did Eric Voss just say?
Yeah, there's been that a few times. Like,
What is
what
this
the fuck is he
theory?
talking about now?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're gonna watch it today. That was the plan. Do our spoiler talk,
It's all part of the plan.
and then.
Mm.
And that this is just more enjoyable to do a spoiler talk this way.
Yeah, and then we get to exactly what you want to know.
We covered everything you guys wanted. All right, guys, let's do a speed round here in the live stream before we cap this off.
Yeah.
We've got 2 minutes with us.
Chat time.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes of 3 minutes.
So-
3 minutes of pee time.
Pee time. Ew, just like peeing for 3 straight minutes.
Did he say pee time?
Plate time. Oh, but he crunches it. Yeah, plate time.
I'm calling Spider-Man.
Yeah,
What does he say?
I thought it was playtime, but
He says
but
playtime. I thought it was Pete time.
it's the way he says it. It does kind of side.
What's his name?
Bonesaw is ready. Bonesaw. Right? It was Randy Savage, right? Wasn't that Macho Man Randy Savage?
Live streams for us do not work well in the algorithm because we rarely do them. You know, live streams like for ours go really well if it's like an insane talk. Like we did Snyder Cut. That was like 1,500 people were watching consistently the whole
big.
time.
That was huge.
And it even accumulated in views significantly.
Maria,
So,
love you too,
yeah, this is like
Maria.
a random.
It's very different from MCU films.
Maria
Gabe
Hammond, we
Freelick.
love you.
3 minutes of playtime. Oh, hello to Nigeria. They're apples and oranges with the MCU films.
I haven't seen Batman: The Long Halloween Part 1 and Part 2. I did watch Batman fucking the one where they changed the Hush. I watched Batman Hush. And that was interesting to say the least. It was okay. There's things about it I liked, but there's some pretty awful things in there too.
Versus Seed, I will absolutely hold your javelin.
Angela Sanchez, what a great question.
Ooh.
You could introduce Poison Ivy in the Swamp Thing movie.
Dude.
When do you think Poison Ivy will be introduced? Yeah, do it, man.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Get Amber Heard. No, wait. Get Jamie Lynn Spears. No, wait.
Wait.
Get Britney Spears. Wait.
Oh, and get her whole conservatorship to play Poison Ivy together. Or they can just all play the Swamp Thing.
Beneath, thanks for being here. Silent Droid Gaming, we're going to work on the Suicide Squad. We'll put it up tomorrow morning. Marley was disappointed. Hush. Michael, I answered your question. You can become a Patreon, man. Oh, or I need to see your DM, I guess, to see what's going on. Ana de Armas is Poison Ivy. Then Ben Affleck will be like, you got to get me back in there.
Leah Kim,
if I can bang both Jennifer Lopez and Ana de Armas.
And Jennifer Garner. Get her in there as well.
I want to see Bloodsport return for sure, Marley.
Leah Kim, 98, just wanted to send you some love. I'm glad we were able to bring you a little bit of joy.
Mahan shouts out from Iran.
Hey, shouts to Iran.
Angela Sanchez said, wait.
Woo!
Why?
Wait for what? Wait for a pregnant pause, a dramatic bit of suspense.
Gabe, thank you for being here, buddy.
That's true, Durjoy B.
Durjoy Boy, so you didn't care about the characters. You don't care about movie.
That is an absolutely true statement. You got to care about the character.
How the fuck did he know? all that in-depth bullshitting we did for so long.
All it comes down to is it's good because you cared.
He picked up on how big of frauds we are.
You said what we couldn't say in short. The words.
They should do a Catwoman cinematic universe. Arkham Red. Halle Berry, Anne Hathaway, whoever played her in Lego Batman.
Get Michelle Pfeiffer back.
Randy Savage.
Macho Man, yeah.
If they were to do another Suicide Squad movie, who would you guys want James Gunn to direct it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mr. Vaju, of course we're still friends. It's okay that you don't like the movie.
Yeah,
I'm sure they did not say we're some kind of Suicide Squad.
I'm glad they didn't say that.
Jeremy, you found us through Superman and Lois. Oh, thank you so much.
Coming back next week, along with What If.
Maria, thank you so much. All right, guys, it's time for Harley to get all lesbian with Poison Ivy.
It's time.
Let's get it through it. All right. Why was it necessary to shoot a naked dude in the jungle? Because they thought he was a bad guy.
They thought he had a weapon.
Look at that thing.
Oh, no. He's
the
biggest threat there.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. This was fun. This was really relaxing and enjoyable. And, hey, we'll
chat about.
We'll catch you guys soon. Keep a lookout for a reaction to New Rockstar's Breakdown. See you guys.
Peace. Now.
End the stream, John.
Aye, Capitan.
End the stream.
Get the hell out of here.
It's time to go.
3, 2, 1.
We're still live, so what the hell's going on?
We're still live for 5